Happy New Year! Welcome back to this month's edition of ThirdEye View. I'm Jing, part of the growth team for the ThirdEye team, and with me today is our 10-certified AML solution specialist, Colin Dixon.
And a Happy New Year from me too. 2026 is shaping up as a year of significant change for both Australia and New Zealand. In this episode, we're going to look ahead to the changes that we're expecting.
Firstly, we'll look at Australia for both the existing reporting entities and also Tranche 2. Secondly, we'll focus on the expected changes upcoming for the New Zealanders. Finally, we'll go back to Australia and talk about the upcoming mutual evaluation. Let's start with the Australian changes for existing reporting entities. The key date is 31st of March, when the reform starts under the new AML-CTF Act.
The details of the changes are in the Act and the accompanying rules that were published last August. And AUSTRAC has already provided lots of guidance on their website. The impact to you will vary depending on the nature of your business, so you should read all the information carefully to understand what the implications are for you. At a very high level, the updated Act changes the program requirement from more of a tick box program structure to be risk-based and outcome-focused. This means that you must carry out a comprehensive risk assessment of your money laundering, terrorism financing, and proliferation financing risks, and take proportionate mitigation measures. In short, you need to revise your AML-CTF program to a risk-based model and update your systems and controls in line with new AUSTRAC rules. AUSTRAC has stated that they don't expect you to have a perfect program by the 31st of March, but they do expect you to have made some changes and working towards the completion of those changes that you need to implement.
That's very true. Also, the message from AUSTRAC is they won't tolerate people who have made no attempt to implement the changes required. Time's running out, so if you haven't done anything, please get it done. But let's also move on to the headline changes for 2026, the introduction of Tranche 2.
So Tranche 2 is an important step for the Australian regime, and that brings in new reporting entities. So that's lawyers and legal professionals, accountants and auditors, real estate agents and conveyancers, and dealers in precious metals and stones.
There are also two key dates here. So one is 31st March, enrollment opens for Tranche 2 entities. 1 July, with compliance obligation begins for Tranche 2 entities. So Colin, let's break it down for everyone. What is the expectation for Tranche 2 entities by 1 July?
Well, firstly, you have to enrol with AUSTRAC. And then, in short, you have to have a risk-based program with systems and controls in line with the AUSTRAC rules, appoint a compliance officer, and train your staff before the compliance starts. That's all similar to existing reporting entities. The main difference is that you're starting from scratch instead of modifying an existing program. There's guidance on the AUSTRAC website, and additional sector-specific guidance is expected round about now. There are also plenty of advisors who are keen to help you set up your program. As with existing reporting entities, AUSTRAC's not expecting perfection on the 1st of July, but evidence that you are making progress is expected.
Well, New Zealand has also been through the same process for Tranche 2. What lessons can we learn from it?
Well, firstly, it's not simple to set up a really good program. You should reach out to an advisor that's been working in this field for some time and has the knowledge and experience to help you. Even with their help, you shouldn't expect to get it all right on day one, and you should be prepared to evolve and improve over time. In New Zealand, lots of companies took years to properly embed the policies, procedures and processes into their business in a way that covered all the requirements and also was effective and also wasn't overly onerous. Advisors should be aware of what happened in New Zealand and should be able to help you shorten that time to get an effective program. But also remember that your program isn't a set and forget. What AUSTRAC want to see is your own program built to suit your business, not a templated or copy and paste program. Think about the level in your business that you want to control your program. If you have a business with many offices or franchisees, I think it makes sense to control your program centrally at head office or franchisor. That way, you retain control and you're not at the mercy of outposts who are not so knowledgeable and don't have the same commitment because they have revenue generation as their core focus. A breach by a small franchisee will put your name in the papers and affect your brand.
With that, let's move on to the changes we expect to see in New Zealand.
Well, expect is a well-chosen word there, Jing. There aren't the hard dates that we've just talked about for Australia. The big change is the move from 3 supervisors to a single supervisor, being the Department of Internal Affairs. And this is expected to occur on the 1st of July. The aim is to reduce duplication, streamline supervision, and allow more consistent, risk-based, timely compliance oversight. And time will tell whether this is achieved.
Well, Colin, in the reporting entity's eyes, what's the implication?
Well, we're not sure yet, but we need to keep an eye on any information that may come our way. If you're a reporting entity that will be moving supervisor, I think it pays to take a good look at your program and try and look at it with a fresh set of eyes and values, which is what a new supervisor will be doing.
Good advice, Colin. Well, there are also other changes proposed for this year. What are we expecting?
When this single supervisor model is passed into law, it's most likely to be accompanied by a levy on reporting entities, although this is likely to be implemented next year. There are a few more bills before Parliament at the moment. It's not clear what amendments will actually get passed into law and when the changes will come into effect. However, it does appear that there will be several changes that will be passed at different times. This means that reporting entities will need to make rolling changes to their programs as each change is introduced. These changes result from a mixture of outputs from the FATF mutual evaluation and the review of the regime over the last couple of years. Whilst many changes will be welcome and reduce the ongoing burden on AML teams, the introduction of change always introduces extra work in the short term.
Well, Colin, you mentioned mutual evaluation. Australia is also getting very close to the next round, starting late this year.
That's right. Well, that was a big driver for the introduction of Tranche 2, without which Australia was in danger of failing the evaluation and being grey-listed. Australia is one of the earlier countries assessed in the fifth round of the mutual evaluations. We've just seen the reports from the first countries in the fifth round, that's Malaysia and Belgium, and if you're interested, the reports are on the FATF website. The fifth round has a much greater focus on effectiveness. In this round, the emphasis has shifted to whether the regime is working, rather than whether the regulations are in place, although both are important. There's a stronger focus on risk-based supervision, and we've seen AUSTRAC using this language in their change of approach signalled last year. This all filters down to reporting entities, who need to take a risk-based approach and demonstrate that their program is effective rather than just complying with the law. The Tranche 2 changes will come into effect in July, only a few months before the mutual evaluation. But the FATF will expect that reporting entities have implemented the changes and are showing effectiveness. Every reporting entity is only a small component in the big machine, but every small component needs to play its part for the machine to work well.
And that's it for this month's edition of Third Eye View. You will find links to everything we've discussed today on our website, along with the blog post that accompanies this episode. As always, we'll love to hear from you. Whether you have questions, thoughts, or feedback, please reach out. We'll be back next month with more updates and insights from the world of financial crime. See you there.